What's up guys, my name is Ace, and it's time for another Q&A. It's been a little while since we've done one of these. If you guys don't know how this works, basically if you have any question for me, it can be about anything, personal life, video games, whatever you want it to be about, leave it in the comment section of this video, and that's where I'll be getting the questions for the next Q&A. Keep in mind, I can't answer every single one of them, obviously. I do have to be a little bit picky, especially with this one. You guys were awesome in the last one. I had like over 500 comments on that one, so that's amazing to see the response like that, but obviously I can't get through 500 comments in a video without it being like 10 hours long. So let's just hop right into the first question here. And this one is actually Call of Duty related. It's how do you aim? Only with the R3 or L3 or R3, so I think left stick, right stick. And how do you do it? What are you using the most? Can you explain it really good? Alright, so basically, I'm almost always aiming with both analog sticks with my controller when I'm playing Black Ops 3. So I'm trying to strafe into my shot while also using the right analog stick. The nice thing about using the left analog stick, meaning that you're strafing side to side to get onto target, it allows you to make really fine movements to your aim. It's great at longer ranges especially, and it's very, very helpful. This is why stock is like so useful in a lot of the older Call of Duty games, especially on assault rifles and stuff. It's not as useful in this game just because it doesn't really increase your movement speed that much while you're aiming down sight, but it does a little bit still. And definitely at long ranges, I find strafing left and right is a lot more accurate than moving your right analog stick, because typically with that, you swing it a little bit too quickly and it just doesn't work out for you. So I would definitely say both. And as for which one I use more, it depends on the situation. If I'm up close and personal, usually I'm spinning around a whole lot faster using the right analog stick while still trying to strafe a bit to be a hard target to hit. But if I'm at a longer range, I'm almost always going to be doing most of the work with my left analog stick. Moving on to the next one. This one comes from Robbie RDS, and it's what country would you like to visit the most? So for those of you guys that don't know, I have done a fair amount of traveling in my time, so I've been quite a few places, so I'll just pick somewhere that I haven't been. And I'm going to go with Thailand, actually. I mean, there's definitely a lot of other places that I want to go, but Thailand's like the #1 at this point. I'm actually supposed to be there like right now. I was initially planning a trip with a friend of mine to be going like right now as this video is uploaded. But that one kind of fell through a few months back, and it didn't work out this year, but maybe next year I'll end up going there. It just looks like a good time, basically. I just want to go party in Thailand. Looks like a blast, and that's basically the #1 place at the moment for me. This next question is something I actually see fairly often here, and this is from Skeleton Pack, and it is, there isn't really anything wrong with it, but I gotta ask, why do you use the standard COD YouTuber video intro of "What's up guys, my name is blank"? If you guys don't know, well, you probably do if you saw the beginning of this video, I say, "What's up guys, my name is Ace." That's the beginning of every single one of my videos, or at least most of my videos. And why do I do that? It's not that I'm following some formula for being a Call of Duty YouTuber or anything. It's just a completely natural way for me to start talking in a video. When I recorded, I think even my first video, if you go back and watch that, I bet that's what I said, just because that's naturally what I was thinking at the time. Like, okay, I have to introduce myself, I've got the mic on, and we're starting the video, so like, what's up? Like, how's it going, everybody? Like, that's my little introduction there. And then of course I want to reinforce my brand and my name and tell you guys who I am, so it's "What's up guys, my name is Ace." I know not everybody does that, and there are more creative ways to do it, but I'm not the most creative person out there. But I just wanted to point out that I didn't do that like because that's the standard COD YouTuber format, and I really don't think it is a standard COD YouTuber format. Tons of people in tons of different areas that do YouTube videos will have the same introduction like that. It's just a natural introduction. "What's up guys, my name is blank." Like, simple as that. Next up, we have a nice simple one. The Quality Jammers asks, how many days do you have played on Black Ops 3? And actually, it might surprise some of you, either way, actually, I don't know. But on Xbox, I have about 13 days played, and then on PS4, I've got about 3 or 4 days played last time I checked anyways. Which isn't quite as much as some people might think, or it might be a whole lot more than you think. I mean, that's a lot of time played, but also keep in mind, this is my full-time job. Doing YouTube is my full-time job, so some people might be surprised that I play so little, considering it is my full-time job, but I actually spend more time making videos than I do actually playing the game itself. I know there's tons of people out there that don't do this for a job that have way more playtime than I do. So, yep, pretty simple answer to that one. The next question is, Ace, what is the place that's the farthest that I've been from home, basically? I'm just going to paraphrase a little bit. Farthest place I've ever been from home while traveling Initially, I thought it was Lithuania. I pulled up Google Maps though, and it turns out Helsinki is actually a little bit further away from me than Lithuania is. So Helsinki is actually the furthest that I'm aware of that I've been away from home. Yeah, it's got to be Helsinki. I've never gone any further east than that. So, yep, there you go. Helsinki, Finland. Next question comes from an unreadable name. That's a lot of alphabet. In school, how did you study for tests? Lucas. Oh, it comes from Lucas. Well, I guess I could have read that part first. How did I study for tests? So first off, I didn't really take school like super seriously. Even in university, I didn't really care too much about my grades as long as I was doing well enough, I guess, and not to the point where I was worried about failing or anything, which I never was worried about failing. A lot of times I just didn't study for tests. I'll just be honest there. I was just like, I'll just wing it and I'll do all right. I'll do good enough. I won't get 100%, but I'll do good enough that it won't really matter. But whenever I did have to study and I had like a really serious test that I had to study for and I really, really needed that good grade or something, I had a system that I would use. So I would look over my notes, I would skim them over, maybe have a good read through my notes for everything relating to that test. And then what I'd do is I put those notes aside, out of sight, and I would get a blank piece of paper and I would copy down every single note that I could remember, like from memory. I would try and basically copy my notes down out of like just straight from my head. And then I would go back and I'd compare that to what I had in my notes, and anything that I missed that I wasn't able to copy from memory, obviously I didn't know it, at least at the time I didn't know it, and those are the areas I have to focus on, and then I would start focusing on those areas, and then I would do the process again, and I would try to just narrow it down till I found that last little piece of the puzzle that I wasn't quite registering in my head. Because a lot of times you might think that you've studied something well and it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, I read that, it's good, I got it. But then when it comes down to actually writing it down and remembering it, then you realize, oh crap, maybe I didn't know that as well as I thought I did. So I find that act of actually writing it down is a really good process for studying. So I definitely recommend giving that a try if you are somebody that struggles with studying. I found it helped me a lot in those situations where I really, really wanted to do well on a test. So next up, we have a question from Andre Hanania, and the question is, we all know you're an amazing COD player. Thank you. Oh, but nobody's perfect. You had to throw that in there after, so it just crushes my dreams. I totally understand. What do you think are your weaknesses in COD, and how do you think you can improve upon them? Keep up the great work and have a nice day. Well, thank you very much. What a kind comment of yours. Okay, so the question there. My personal weaknesses in Call of Duty. I think my biggest weakness is focus and really caring about the outcome of a lot of situations. Not necessarily the outcome of the game itself. I really care about the outcome of the game. But a lot of times I just lack focus and I don't really care that much about what's going on around me. I think a lot of that has been developed as I've been live streaming every day. And it's the kind of thing where I've got a lot of my attention on the chat, and then I'm kind of got half my attention on the game, or not even half my attention on the game. And it gets to the point where I'm not even really thinking about what's going on in the game. I'm thinking about the chat, and I'm talking and doing all that stuff, and everything else that happens in the background is just like muscle memory practically, or at least a lot of that stuff. So I think that's one of my biggest downsides, and that's why I'm not getting tons of really amazing gameplays, is because I don't really play outside of streaming unless I'm specifically recording for something. And even then, a lot of times I'm thinking about a topic in my head, and I'm just not focused on what's going on in front of me. I'm not really paying too much attention to my aim a lot of the times. I'm a lot of times looking back on my gameplay, I'm like, why did I make that decision? Like, what was I thinking there? And a lot of the times I think back and it's like, oh yeah, actually I was answering a question at that exact moment. So my brain was somewhere else and I was just on autopilot basically. So I'd say that's one of my greatest weaknesses, is just focusing on the game. This next question is from Charlie Deemer. If you get to 1 million subs, which I know you will because you're the best, thank you, what am I going to do? All right, so first off, I have no plans for 1 million subscribers. I have no idea if I'll ever make it anywhere even close to 1 million subscribers. It's really hard to say with YouTube. It's such a volatile sort of industry in a lot of ways. I mean, it could explode to the point where I'm at 1 million subscribers really quickly, or it could just never get to that point no matter how hard I try. Like, that's just how YouTube works sometimes. But I would say even at the earliest, if I were to ever hit 1 million subscribers, that's a few years down the road for me, or a couple years down the road at the absolute earliest, I think, anyways. So, do I have any plans for that? Absolutely not. And it's not even something that registers on my radar at this point. Even for like a 250,000 subscriber milestone or something like that, which is much more attainable. It's actually sometime within the next year, I'm thinking I'm probably going to hit that 250,000 milestone. I have no plans for it yet. I don't really think about that kind of stuff until I start to really approach it, and then my brain's like, okay, now I gotta start thinking of something here, or else people are gonna be mad at me. So, yeah, no plans for 1 million subscribers. I'll just tell you that. This next question is a little bit deeper here. This one's from Christian Savage, and the question is, do you ever think you want to settle down with a wife and kids in the future? And the answer to that, the simple answer is yes, eventually. Absolutely, I do. I would love to have a family. I would love to have kids. I love kids. I'm great with kids. Or at least I've been told I'm great with kids. I can't just self-proclaim that I'm great with kids, but I've been told I'm great with kids. I really enjoy like spending time with kids and stuff, and all of that, like my niece, for instance. But at this point in my life, I have absolutely no interest in that. Relationships, yes. Yeah, I'm interested in relationships and stuff, but as far as like getting married and having children and stuff, I don't want that anytime in the next several years at least. I mean, if it happens, it happens, but it's not something I'm looking for. At this point in my life, I really want to focus on me. I feel like my 20s is me time, where I get to be single and independent and do what I want to do and live life to the fullest, basically, and not be, I don't know the right word to say this without sounding like rude or anything, but like pinned down by anything. Like if I want to go travel, I can go travel. I can disappear for 3 weeks and just go somewhere. Whereas if I had a wife and like young kids and stuff like that, that's not happening. It's highly unlikely I'll ever be able to do anything like that. So like at this stage in my life, I want that freedom. I want that independence to be able to do what I want to do. But once I start getting towards my 30s, which is coming in the next like 4 or 5 years, then yeah, definitely I think I'll flip a switch and I'll want to go into like family mode and stuff like that. At least that's how I view it right now. Maybe I'm completely wrong on everything, but that's where I'm at with it. Next question comes from Christian Sosa. If you could have a dream car, what would it be? And he says, mine would be the Aston Martin Vanquish. All right, so my dream car, I actually just talked about this on stream like a few days ago. My dream car has always been a Lamborghini. Ever since I was a kid, it was all about the Lamborghini, so I'm going to stick with that. I think there are nicer cars out there. Like looking at it now, there are much nicer vehicles out there and a lot more expensive vehicles out there too, but it's just something about that Lamborghini that I've always loved since I was a kid, so I'm going to stick with Lambo. All right, this next question comes from Blaine Fishlock. Greetings, Ace. What do you think is the most annoying gun, perk, and kill streak in the Call of Duty series? All right, I had to think about this one a little bit. Most annoying gun. I settled on the Ballista from Black Ops 2. Now, I do understand and realize it does take a certain amount of skill to use, but I just feel like it was just so frustrating to die to because it's a sniper rifle that's supposed to dominate at long ranges, and sniper rifles, because they dominate at long ranges, shouldn't be also dominating up close. And that gun was just so powerful up close, and it was so frustrating playing the situation absolutely flawlessly with an SMG or an assault rifle, and you're up close, and it's like, yes, I got a sniper. It should be essentially a free kill for you. That's how I see it anyways. It's like a shotgun. If you get caught at a super long range with a shotgun against an assault rifle or something, then yes, you're dead. Like, you don't have a chance in that gunfight. I feel like snipers should at least somewhat behave in that same manner. And the Ballista from Black Ops 2, I feel like it was just way too easy to use up close and at the sort of close to mid ranges. And it was almost impossible to even counter it because by the time you get aimed down sight and fire enough shots to kill, he's already aimed down sight and fired his one shot to kill you. Like I said, though, I'm not denying the fact that it took a little bit of skill to use, but I just feel like it was a little bit on the easy side. As for the perk, most annoying perk, definitely Last Stand. That was the one in the past Call of Duties where you get killed, you drop down, and you have an option to like kill your enemy, and then I think you can be revived. Yeah, it depends on the Call of Duty game. They tweaked it around a little bit. But yeah, then you're revived and you're back up in the fight again. That was so frustrating. I really hated that. There was even a point, I think in Black Ops 1, where as they were dropping to the ground, during that animation, they could shoot you, but there was something weird where they had like God mode for a few frames. So they could shoot you, and even if you're shooting them as they're going down, your bullets don't count, but theirs do. Just so frustrating. Never should have been in the game, in my opinion. I'm glad it's not anymore. As for kill streak, That one that one was a little bit difficult, but I'm gonna have to settle on Black Ops 2's Hunter-Killer drone. It was the one, just in case you guys don't know, it was kind of like a dart, but you don't control it. You throw it in the air, it flies around, does circles, and then it'll just find an enemy, lock onto them, and fly straight at them and dive bomb them. There was a counter, which was Blind Eye, but honestly, who runs Blind Eye all the time for a low kill streak? It was a very low kill streak. It required no skill whatsoever to use, and a lot of the times it was completely unavoidable or extremely difficult to avoid. Like, you could try and jump away from it, and if you had Flak Jacket and you jumped at the right time, you could avoid it, or maybe you could get behind cover just in time, and it would blow up on like a ceiling or a roof or something like that. But a lot of the times I had so many really high streaks, and awesome streaks ended by this random hunter-killer that just happened to be flying around the map that required no skill on the enemy's part to use, and it was also a low streak, so it didn't require much skill for them to earn either. So I just really feel like a lot of times I didn't deserve to die to a person that really didn't do that much work to kill me. Next question comes from Pie the Gentleman, and this one is, what do you think they should improve on in the next COD? So we all know the next COD is going to be an Infinity Ward COD. There have been some rumors of like space warfare and stuff. At this point, I'm still just disregarding that. That's just rumor at this point, even though it is from a source that was correct on a lot of things early for Black Ops 3. I'm going to just assume that's rumor. And also, I'm not going to be talking about what we should improve on based on Black Ops 3 or Advanced Warfare. Because it's an Infinity Ward COD, I'll talk about what I feel they should improve on from Ghosts. And the biggest thing I think they should improve on is map design. Simple as that. I think that was the biggest downfall of that game, was map design. And it's not that the maps were necessarily like terribly designed maps or anything. I just feel like they didn't flow very well. And also the coloring, like the color palette and stuff, it was very boring on a lot of the maps. It wasn't a place you wanted to be, and I know they're trying to simulate a war zone, a place you don't want to be. But if we're in a video game like all the time, like at least make it like aesthetically pleasing in a lot of ways. And also all the hiding spots and dark corners and stuff like that. Really, I feel like that was the biggest downside of Ghosts, was their map design. Next question is, have you ever wanted to give up on YouTube? And the answer to that is no. I've never seriously considered giving up on YouTube since I've started. I have had downtimes in those plateaus where I'm a little bit like down on myself because I'm not getting the growth I'm used to or something like that. But I realize that that's all just a cycle. You have good times, you have slow times. It's just how it works. You got to fight your way through. Just keep going with it. I've never had a serious thought where I was actually considering quitting YouTube, at least not up until today. Next question comes from Hayden Sangri. What sports did you play in school, if you did any? So I never actually played on any school teams, but that's because I played hockey and there was no school hockey team for us. It was like a minor hockey league association instead that had nothing to do with school. So I played that throughout a lot of my schooling. And then once I quit hockey, I ended up transitioning into competitive paintball, which is also had nothing to do whatsoever with school. So I never did have any time playing on any high school sports teams or anything like that, just because I was busy doing other sports that didn't involve school. Next question is, Ace, do you think the next COD should be boots on the ground? I don't know about you, I'm tired of booster packs and future warfare even. Alright, like I said, there has been the rumors of this space warfare, but I'm going to assume those rumors don't exist because they're just rumors at this point, nothing confirming that yet. Yes, I would like to see Infinity Ward stick with boots on the ground, and not necessarily because I prefer boots on the ground over everything else, but simply for variety, because we have the 3-year life cycle now of Call of Duties, or the 3-year development cycle. We have 3 different CODs. Every year is a different developer for a 3-year cycle. So I would like to have Infinity Ward as our boots on the ground COD. Then we have Advanced Warfare as our crazy out there trying crazy new things COD. Hopefully they still make some improvements over Advanced Warfare, but still, like, they're trying something completely out there. They're in the future doing all that kind of stuff. And then we have Black Ops 3 that's kind of a balance of the two as far as gameplay goes anyways. Like, yeah, they're in the future, but it's a lot of boots on the ground. Like, most of the time, your feet are on the ground in Black Ops 3 compared to Advanced Warfare, where most of the time you were in the air, it seemed like. But Black Ops 3 does offer like a nice mix of wall running. You can thrust jump, you can swim, you can do all that stuff, but it's not necessary really to succeed in the game, in my opinion. So I think that would be a good way to handle it. Infinity Ward does boots on the ground, Advanced Warfare does crazy futuristic stuff, and Black Ops 3 has a nice balance of the two. The next question we have here is, have you ever thought of traveling to Dubai or the Middle East in general? And if you traveled, will you do a fan meetup? So I would love to go to Dubai and a few other places in the Middle East. I would absolutely love it. It sounds like a really expensive place to go to. I don't know, but everything I've seen, it looks very expensive. Maybe down the road in the future, I will make my way over there. But at this point, no immediate plans to go anywhere in the Middle East. As far as fan meetups for when I travel, from now on, I'm going to make the best effort possible anywhere I travel, as long as it fits in with my schedule and stuff. I'm going to make an effort to do a fan meetup of some sort, because now I do have fans and followers in a lot of at least major cities in the world. So anytime I go to a major city, I'm sure there's at least some people that would want to come and meet me. So like for instance, I'm going to Boston for PAX East in 3 weeks actually. Like that's coming up pretty soon. And I will be doing a fan meetup there. I will have more details on that. I'll make a video with proper details once we get really close to the date. But if you guys are going to be in Boston, then yes, I will be there. I will be doing a fan meetup, and I'd love to meet you guys. It'll be a lot of fun, I think. And I want to do the same anytime I go to a major city. I want to do the same. So if I ever make it out to LA again, definitely I'll try to organize some sort of fan meetup, or any gaming convention that I ever go to. Yes, I will be doing fan meetups for that. Next question is from Adam, and it is, if one COD developer made the rest of the COD games, which developer would you choose and why? Hands down, Treyarch, and just because I feel like they make the best games out of all of them in its current state. I don't know if they're pretty close to like the old Infinity Ward. I love the old Infinity Ward, which is now mainly like Respawn Entertainment. But if we're just looking at like current Sledgehammer, current Infinity Ward, and current Treyarch, I'll take current Treyarch hands down. I just feel they make the best games. They're most in tune with the community itself, and that's simple as that. That's all you need to know, really. They're just the best in my mind right now. Next question is, when did you really commit to doing YouTube? And I was thinking about this. There was no one moment where it just like clicked with me and I just started committing to YouTube. It's not like I flipped a switch and was like, I'm committing now. I started doing YouTube just purely as a hobby, just to see what the process was like, because I watched a lot of YouTube videos and thought, I think I can do that. So I did it, I tried it, and I started getting better and better at it, and I started gaining more and more followers. And as I gained more followers, I started posting a little bit more and putting a little bit more effort into it. And it's just continued until today. So there was no one moment where it was like, I'm committing now. I've always been just like, my commitment has grown as the channel has grown, basically. This next question, I also wanted to use this as a question for some of you guys to answer in the comments here. Do you see yourself streaming any games other than COD in the near future? So as it is right now, I have 1 day a week, and it has been Mondays. I don't know if it's always going to be Monday, but I have 1 day a week where I stream something that's not Call of Duty. Now, I've been doing a little bit of The Culling, which is like a Battle Royale style game where you're in an arena and you have to scavenge for items and weapons and build weapons and stuff and kill the other players, which is really fun. I really enjoy it. It's the kind of game you can just hop on, play. You don't really have to spend a ton of time getting into it. Also, Rocket League, I've really enjoyed myself with that. I love playing Rocket League, even though I'm not a big soccer fan or even a car fan or anything. I just love the fun times that you have on Rocket League. Also, I just got Counter-Strike, so I'm thinking of maybe just dabbling in Counter-Strike a little bit. I know I'm going to suck because there's a big learning curve and stuff, and I don't have that much time to put into it, but I will be doing that as well. So as the summer goes on, as we all know, the interest in Call of Duty declines because the game's getting old and everything like that. And as we go through the summer, I'm going to start implementing more and more games that aren't Call of Duty into my streaming. The YouTube channel is going to stay pretty much consistent. Like, it's always going to be a COD channel. This is a COD channel. That's not changing. But as far as my live streaming goes, which there will be a link to my live stream down below if you haven't checked it out already, go and follow that. But yeah, I am going to transition into a lot of other games because I do want to play a lot of these games. A lot of times I feel like I've missed out on games, like new games that are coming out, because I'm just so dedicated to Call of Duty, and I have to spend my time on that because it's my job, essentially. Like, my job is Call of Duty content on YouTube, and it's not something where I can just suddenly switch and start playing another game and just forget about Call of Duty for a week or something like that. I can't do that. But as the summer goes on, like I said, I will start investing some more time into playing some other games. So, I was also going to ask you there. I almost ended it there. I was going to ask you guys, what do you guys think? And do you have any suggestions on games that I could stream in the future coming up through this summer? Preferably games that don't require a lot of time to really get into. Like, not Fallout or any RPG-style games that really require you to put tons and tons of time in to really get much out of it. Just games that you can kind of hop on, play, and have fun. So I'd like to hear in the comment section below what other games you'd like me to play. All right, guys, final question here is from Thomas, and the question is, have you ever been pulled over by a cop? If so, what happened? All right, so I've been pulled over 3 times. First time, it was like my very first week of driving by myself. Like I had just recently got my license, and I used to work a job where I worked until 3 in the morning. I think it was like 3 in the morning is when I got off, and I had just also got my new car. It was my first car, and I didn't know how the headlights worked. I was driving in the city too at the time, and I could see the road fine. I thought the headlights came on automatically, but they don't on that car, or I didn't have it on the auto setting, I guess. So my headlights weren't on, and I was driving around the city, and so I got pulled over for that because it was also like 3 in the morning because I had just gotten off work. So obviously that looks a little bit sketchy, like guy at 3 in the morning driving around with no headlights on. Also young guy because I was pretty young at the time. So I got pulled over for that, but the cops were just like, oh, okay, yeah, like you just started driving, new car, we get it. And then we figured out like the lights were on and stuff. And it was no big deal, just basically, oh, okay, well, he's just a stupid kid. He'll figure it out. So I did, and so no problems there. Second time, it was actually kind of funny. My dad was a policeman for, I think 30 years or over 30 years with the Edmonton City Police, which is the city closest to me, like the big city closest to me. And therefore he knows everybody there and everybody knows the names. So I got pulled over once by a policeman in Edmonton, and he saw my last name, and my uncle is also a policeman there, or has been his whole life basically. He's not there anymore. But yeah, he basically saw my last name and he's like, all right, which one's your dad, which one's your uncle? And so I had to just explain like, oh yeah, that one's my dad, that one's my uncle. He's like, okay, well, don't speed, there's your warning. And he just let me go because I guess I've got an in with that guy. But that was kind of a funny one just because like I got let off. I was only speeding by like 15 kilometers an hour over, which is almost nothing, but yeah, he let me go on that one. And then the final time I got pulled over, I actually did get a speeding ticket. I think I was going like 20 or 25 over. I just wasn't paying attention to what was going on. I was on a perfectly straight road with no traffic and just jamming to some music, and it turns out I was going a little too fast. And therefore, yeah, I got the ticket, paid the ticket, no big deal. It was just one of those times. So those are the 3 times I've been pulled over by cops. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for this Q&A. Hopefully that one didn't go too long. I try to keep this as short as possible. I try to talk real fast, and I try to pick like a small enough amount of comments or questions to answer. But at the same time, I do want to answer as many as possible. Like I said at the beginning, if you have any comments or any questions that you'd like me to answer in the next episode of the Q&A, which won't be for a little while down the road, so don't worry about that. Leave it in the comment section of this video and this video only. If I've already answered it, I might just reply to your comment instead of actually bringing it up in the next Q&A, because obviously I don't want to be answering the same questions over and over again. So there we go. That's going to wrap it up. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys next time.